This is our 8th Artists for Artist Talks. I'm excited. We're chugging along. We're trying to make up to 12, a series of 12 talks. And this will be the last one until about mid-October. I just want you to know that I'm talking on the microphone so that we can hear it on recordings. We have these for the archives. And I ask you both, if someone asks a question, that you repeat it into the mic so that they can hear it on the... So, all right. I'm going to read their bios to kind of get you into the mode of who these amazing artists are that are presenting their work for us today. We have Raksha Parekh, who is a Los Angeles-based artist, third-generation Southern African and Indian descent. She received her BA from the University of Witwatersrand. I'm saying it wrong. Say it again? Witwatersrand in Johannesburg, South Africa. She is an alumni of Otis College of Arts and attended its MFA program. Her diverse background informs her work, being of Indian origin and having lived a significant part of her life in Southern Africa, where her parents currently reside. She explores a dynamic space where the histories and psychologies of the Indian and African experience intermingle. The work's focus pertains to their deep connection with their colonial past. It examines the sugar industry whose existence and operations in many parts of the world, and specifically in the Americas and South Africa, were contingent upon the significant dislocation of peoples from Africa. There also exists a parallel, though smaller, movement of people from India as a replacement of indentured labor due to the abolition of slavery by the British. Raksha's exploration of this intersection has begun with a more recent and difficult history of sugar cultivation because of the very specific connection not only in South Africa, but in most places where sugar was cultivated using slave labor such as the Caribbean, South America, Mauritius, the Fiji Islands, and so on. Where there was African or native slave labor in the cultivation of sugar, it was in many cases replaced by indentured Indian labor. The colonial experience, which has been a big part of her life, is also something that is considered deeply in her work. Sugar, cotton, found and bought wood, sugarcane, paper, and other materials that have a commercial origin from these parts of the world are used to make the work, as they already embody this history. Mundane repetition is one of the conditions explored in the art. Raksha also uses the qualities of the materials themselves to play an important role in the work and let these qualities have their own voice. In a certain aspect, she's let the materials guide her to their usage. Raksha will be showing new work with Mark Stephen Greenfield, who is here today. Thank you, Mark, for coming. And Karen Hampton at LA Art Corps, September 9th through 29th. She is scheduled to be part of an upcoming group show at the Craft and Fold Art Museum in 2018. She will also be participating in the following panels at an upcoming symposium this October, hosted by the Textile Society of America in Savannah, Georgia. The Global Language of Contemporary Art, hosted by Los Angeles-based artist Karen Hampton, and Cotton, Beads, and Sugar, Textile Triangulations and Coastal Exchange between India, Africa, and US, hosted by Namita Wiggers, curator at Museum of Contemporary Craft, Oregon. Thank you, Raksha, for being here. And we have the mayor, Michael Massenburg, who I call the mayor of not only the Beacon Arts Building, but also Minglewood. Michael Massenburg was born in San Diego, and raised in Los Angeles, California. Michael pursued his studies at California State University, Long Beach, and the Otis School of Art and Design. As a side job during college, Michael created a mobile DJ business with his father called Mass Production, immersing them into the thick of the Los Angeles 80s party scene, deepening his understanding of the cultural geography and character of the many cities within this city. In his work, Michael investigates language and imagery to explore the issues of race, class, and culture. He assembles constructions of objects and images in trying to engage the subjects through representational, psychological, and spiritual perspectives. He is committed to local and global issues from the communities of Watts and Inglewood to countries like Haiti and Colombia. Michael has exhibited in galleries and museums, completed private commissions, and created public art projects throughout the country and abroad, including TGD4 Project, Cultural Center and Library in Tambacounda, Senegal, and Casa de la Cultura in Quilipan, Mexico. His recent exhibitions include Skin at Municipal Art Gallery and as co-curator of 50 Years I Still Can't Breathe at Watts Towers Arts Center. Michael is in public collections such as the University of Maryland, David C. Driscoll Center, and Museum Bourbana in Dakar, Senegal. His list of public artworks include Verizon, MTA, Metro, ESPN, American Jazz Museum, and the Fabulous Forum. He received various grants from the Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs and the California Arts Council. Along with his art-making practices, Michael is a teaching artist for various organizations, including I lost it. All right, the Theater of Hearts, thank you, Youth First, and LMU, Engaged Learning for Family of Schools. Michael is also a founding board member and board president for Inglewood Cultural Arts. Please welcome Michael.
Just remember to talk into
Hello everybody, and thank you for coming. What I'm going to do when I'm going to talk about my work is, however, what you already heard, just talk about where I come from and why. So I have always been interested in. I've been always interested in how certain groups of people have to do things for other people. And so when I first started painting, I actually came into the arts via my children. I have 3 children, and I wanted to make a children's book for them. And so I went to Art Center and went to the children's book program. They had a class there, so I went for that. And then from there, I decided I didn't know how to draw people, so I said, okay, I'm going to learn how to draw people. And then from there, it just kind of continued, and I just saw the power of art, and it kind of just drew me in. And I always feel like art came to me. I wasn't kind of looking for it, and it came and it took me because I was so interested in all these other things. And so when I started classes and I was looking at other people's works, some of the works that became really important and kind of a jumping off point for me. One of them was Robert Ryman's work, and he was kind of really exploring the texture of the paint and the color, and it felt so democratic to me to explore the color light, just see how the paintbrush made the marks and that kind of thing. And suddenly I realized how important the medium had become. So the medium was something that I got very interested in. And then so I was also always wanted to have in my work a relationship to the human body. And so I had been making these drawings on big sheets of paper. And one day, one of the instructors who was, looking at my work, she says, "Well, it looks like the rectangle is representing the body." And that just kind of, it became true. And after that, I started just using the rectangle in as many different ways as I could, and see what I could do with the rectangle as a metaphor for kind of what happens to people. And also, I remember the painting that I had done. That was like this huge painting, and then I had put a little rectangle at the bottom. And I realized that the rectangle I made was myself observing this huge canvas. And so this rectangle became really important. And so I started off like this particular piece. I have another piece which I didn't have a photograph of. So this one is made of latex, and I just made these really long rectangles, and then I would pull them off and do all kinds of things with them. And I ended up making this, just rolls of latex, and also it was kind of representative of, to me, of how like people get crowded and things like that. So I was letting it be what it wanted to be, but at the same time, my inspiration was coming from that. And then I started, from there I came across the picture of the spaceship, which I have, I guess, another one. And so I decided I was going to do something about it. I don't know if you guys can actually see this or not.
Yes.
But I abstracted the people on the spaceship. And this is encaustic that I used. And so this was like my first piece that was related to the slave ship. And then from there, I just ended up making all these other pieces slowly, like I related it with cotton, and I related it to sugar. I mean, I don't want to repeat already what Lisa said, but I could if you want me to. But I was playing around with cotton, and I decided I was going to make some, burn the sugar and see what I could do. And then I made a syrup out of the sugar, and then I was actually writing with it. I was writing with the sugar, and then the cotton was also there. I had just moved. I had just got divorced, and I had moved into my place, and my place was small, and everything was at the table. So all the sugar was there, the cotton was there, and I was just decided I was going to play around, and so I dipped the cotton in the sugar, and something happened, and so these are my first pieces that I made with cotton and sugar. I got the packet of cotton from Target, the cotton balls, and I decided I was just going to play with it, and I opened it up, and so it was kind of messy in the beginning, trying to figure out what I could do with it. But then I left it overnight, and I came back the next morning to look, and it had dried, and it had become this hard thing, which was still flexible. And so I thought, okay, I don't know what I can do with this, but I'm going to kind of look. So actually, I should show you this one. This is one of my paintings that I made. This is painted with sugar, sort of this. I was playing with the sugar to see, like on paper, how it would operate, and so I just kind of played with it. And also, I was playing with the layers of mark making, and then making a mark on top of the mark, on top of the mark, on top of the mark. So these are the pieces that kind of came out of that kind of experiment. Let me see. So this is the one with this was the whole cotton ball. I would just dip it in the sugar, and then I would stretch it out a little bit, and then I dried it, and so it would dry like this here, and then it was also an experiment that I tried, and I thought, wow, this kind of works. So I played with it a little bit more, and then I went ahead and I made, this is a pretty big piece, which is going to be in the show.
That's great. How big? Sorry.
This is about like 5 feet across and about 4 feet tall. And I just started going to the fabric store and getting all these different kind of cotton fabrics. So everything is cotton, like this is batting that I should show here. Like this is cotton batting that you use for maybe like mattresses and quilts and stuff like that. So I was finding out new things in the fabric store as well. all the different kinds of cottons and linens and stuff. So I was getting my own education. Here's a drawing that I made of waves, again with sugar and so this is just like purely sugar on copy paper. This is another one. And then I started, like I had started the abstraction of the slave ship. This was one of the pieces, one of my first pieces was I made, like I made the ink that I made it by making soot, and then I used the soot, and the binding agent was what do you call it? Gum arabic, and then so I made my own ink, and I got these. Some of these are like found pieces of wood. Some of them are bought, like this, the zebra wood here. Then there's African mahogany. There's birch and several different kinds of woods here. And then I made marks on them. Again, I'll still keep on playing with my abstraction and see what, where it could take me. And so that was one of, I was trying to make it like the side of a ship or a bench or something like that. But my place was small, hard to make big things in a small place. And then I got little chips and stuff too, and I soaked them in sugar and put them together. Again, just continuing with this abstraction process. And then I'm going to show you this piece here, which is actually the other bench piece. But what I did was I separated them out and I put them along as if they were still like a ship going across. And then this one has all the cotton and sugar on it. And so I think I would like to sometime make a ship and make it like that, but it's not going to happen for a while. It's too much. I can't do it right now. I would like to help me.
Sure.
Okay.
There you go.
So these are the beginnings of my experiments. This is cotton fabric, different kinds of cotton fabrics that I soaked in sugar, and then put them all together again, keeping with my abstraction. This was another piece, small piece. This one is about maybe a foot across and a little bit less than a foot down. So I'm gonna go to the next one. I'm sorry, I kind of messed up on the arrangement. It was arranged at home, but it didn't kind of work out. Okay, so now I'm going to go to, then after I started all this, I went to Brazil. I went to Brazil. I was lucky to go to Brazil, and hey, why isn't this icon?
Because you pressed the one before.
Just tell us that you want to
Yeah,
make sure.
Oh, I would like to see
Did you escape
I did.
or close?
Okay.
Now go back to view. Go all the way down to enter full screen. There. Repress slideshow.
Okay. So I went to Brazil, and actually I was visiting my daughter, and who was in Brazil for a little bit, and I went with another friend of mine, and so she was in Rio, and we went to Salvador, and this was in Bahia, and so Mark, have you been? Did you go there?
Yeah,
Did you see the statues? Yeah.
Did you say Sakata? Weren't you in Sakata?
Yeah, this is second time.
Yeah. So this is Zumbi, and he was a freedom fighter in the 1600s. He formed a colony of slaves who had run away, who had actually not become slaves. So, and then he was part of the rebellion and all that. So I was like really excited to see that. But then I met these two gentlemen who are from New York, and we were just talking, and they said, "Oh, you know, we know somebody who has a plantation, and if you want to go, we can take you." And it would be like somewhere in the little bit more into the going inside the countryside more. So I said, of course I want to go and see that. And so we rented a car and we went. So this actually used to be a place where slaves worked the cane and everything. So here are, they still grow sugarcane, but they use the sugarcane to make cachaça. Sorry, I always mess that up.
What is that?
Oh, that's a spirit. It's like vodka.
Oh,
It's
wonderful.
good for caipirinha. Yeah, and I had a lot of those. So then I was they still had like all this, these are the vats where they would put the sugarcane juice in and cook it and make the until it becomes thick, and then they pour it out, and then somebody has to like massage all this air into it and make it into a solid thing, and then make these big like rock-like things out of sugar. So they had like all these different ones going at different stages. But these are not working. They just had them. So then this is the leftover pulp, which they used to put in the furnace to fire up and to run the machine. I don't think I have the machine here. Yeah, no, I don't have that. And then they have, did their thing and got their cachaça. So this was at this house, which used to be like a slave woman's house. So and the plantation. This was a room that is still there, and this is where the slaves actually slept. So this was, and it's a very short. It was like about this tall, the door, and these were the windows, which were like up at this level, like an area would be right there. So it kind of told you about the conditions a little bit, and then what these guys were using. This is the inside, and this is the underneath of the house. So the house was on top, and then these rooms were underneath, and this is where the people would stay. So they were using it for storage purposes. But I just thought it was interesting, and I thought you guys might like to see that, so I brought it along. And obviously the sugar cane. So it was very interesting for me to go there because it made me understand how like everything was related, and the global economy was global at that time, and we didn't understand it as that way, but it was. It made me see that it's been global for centuries.
Yes.
Open brief. Preview.
Okay. So this is, I'm going to start from the bottom, which is right here. So this is, I had a solo show at Gallery 825, and I called it Nonzamo Shakara, So Nomzamo is a South African word, and it's also a name. Actually, Winnie Mandela's name was Nomzamo. And Nomzamo means one who has been through a struggle. And Shakara is a Sanskrit word, and it's the word where sugar comes from. The word sugar comes from Shakara. And I grew up with that word because my grandmother and my mother use those words for sugar. So anyway, I just wanted to show that. Then this is the piece that I made using the strips of cotton. I just want to show you what I did was that in that piece there's more than like 140,000 strips of cotton. All soaked in the sugar, so I used like hundreds of pounds of sugar. And so it took me more than a year, about a year and a half actually, to make all the different strips. I made a little bit every day, and I soaked it, I took it outside to dry. When they dried, I collected them, and then I would store them in batches. And so that's why when you look at it, it has all these different colors, and these are only just the color of the sugar. There's a lot of cotton and only the color of the sugar. I haven't added anything to it or anything. It's just like the cotton and the sugar. And the way I arranged this piece, it's a flexible piece. I can arrange it any which way I like. The way I arranged it was in the shape of a nautilus, because I wanted at one point that when a person goes inside, you're surrounded by the cotton and the sugar. And also I wanted it to be big because I wanted it to be overpowering. I wanted it to like envelop the person. So it actually envelopes with its aroma, with the color, and the space.
What does it smell like? Yeah, so
Like sugar.
well, it's like cotton and sugar was very distinct.
Or
No, it smells like sugar.
Dark sugar, so it's dark sugar that.
It's a brown sugar.
Brown sugar.
Yeah. But yeah, the different kinds of sugar, you know. I
Yeah.
use demerara sugar, brown sugar, just all different kinds of sugar, and then I burn them. And, yeah. And then and I used like different solutions of it to, and also molasses. There's molasses in there too. So the very dark ones here, that has molasses in them. And this is kind of how I store it. But I had help in making my piece. And this is my helper. One of my helpers. This is my friend Ali Taj. So, but several people kind of, they were very intrigued and excited about the piece. So they came and helped me. So actually these pieces you see in the background here, like this one here, these are also body related. I wanted to go like in between the body and like, so all my work has always been somehow related to the body. And its relationship. Here's somebody else who wanted to come and help me. That's my friend Zio. And she even wanted to taste it and use it as a decoration. This is my ex-husband. He doesn't know that it's going to be in there. But I just wanted to show because it was the only picture with the Swami, and the Swami was helping me hang up. Because he came.
Not your ex-husband.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. But he came with my ex-husband to my house. He came to drop him off at my house, and so he wanted to see what I was doing, and so I showed him my studio, and then he helped me like hang them back in place and things like that. So, and here's our hostess. Okay, this one is another. It's a piece of cotton as well, but it's very sheer, and I painted it by process of kind of elimination. So I painted it with water. So it's painted with sugar, and then I go in and I paint over it, so the water kind of pushes the sugar away and creates all these other patterns. So and it was for me like it was all these slave ships were like going through the fields of sugarcane on a piece of cotton. So that was also coming out from my previous experiments that I was doing. So. Oh, I think I'll do this one first.
Open with.
Oops. So this was another piece that I showed at LA Art Group. It also was when I was playing around with the sugar and what I should do with it, and on sheets of cotton and cotton paper. So these are all, it's all related to cotton. I was trying to just keep it simple by keeping cotton and sugar, and so this is the piece. It's about 46 feet, like it would go from that wall to that wall. And then these are other little pieces also that I was playing around with and experimenting with. These are like stains of sugar on a piece of cotton watercolor paper. And these are also just, I find that by playing and experimenting, I figure out a lot of things. So that was also one of my earlier pieces. So then I started playing with paper.
How did you adhere it to the wall?
Oh, with, little nails.
Oh, you put nails.
Yeah, on the top.
How big is that?
This one is like 25 feet, what am I saying? 10 feet that way and like 7 feet this way. These are all watercolor paper, and I was inspired by Hokusai's The Great Wave. I thought I gotta make my own great wave. But I decided that it wasn't going to be only a wave, but like the waves are on top. But I wanted to make like a giant whirlpool, and it, the ocean, and it just like taking me there. The landforms, layers of things, and again, it's made from painted with sugar, and this one is like painted with sugar and also eliminating the sugar, so there's like a two processes going on in there. So I'll just another one of my friends. That was just to give an idea of the size. Okay, so then I decided I was gonna start playing around, see if I could make paper and sugar cane paper, because I wanted to experiment and see how far or what I could do. And so I found out that you could actually make sugarcane paper, and I could even buy it. And then I found out that in Staples they actually have these writing pads made from sugarcane paper, recycled. And I thought, wow, that's cool. And then I got it and I started learning how to make paper. and started making homemade paper with a mix of different kinds of paper, which I actually got some sugarcane paper from this paper store in New York, and I tore it up and I blended it with the other papers, and I made my own new paper. And then, to see what I wanted to do other things with it, I waxed it, I put wax on it, I could fold it, tear it, do all kinds of things. So this piece here is called Boxed and Tied. This one is called Torn and Boxed. So I have all these different names which are also related to transportation. When you box something, when you tie it, you're sending it away somewhere. So that was the feeling that I was having when I was, making these pieces of work. So I have, like this one is also paper. I call it glued. This is like glued and boxed and tied. So the names, they were just coming on their own because of the fact that that's exactly what I was doing, and it just somehow had that relationship with it. And then these are paper boxes on cotton fabric, already like with the sugar on it, and drawings that I could make with it. These are just different ideas I was trying to put together. This particular one is, again, the cotton that big piece was made of, and then I cut it, and then I made my own little piece with it. So still going with the abstraction from the slave ship, and then also having put a grid in, and just playing around seriously, and it just kind of does its own thing, and I just go and make and I play, and this is what happens. So that's that. This was at the Liz's Loft in a recent show. So that I was at maybe about a year ago. I apologize for this. So, this is another piece that I had been making. This was the original way where I first showed it at Watts, actually. But I had different ideas on how to show it. This is the way I made it. These are recreations of the sugar cane, and it's made from sugar cane paper and plaster and glue. And I made a mold of sugar cane, and then I made all these tons and tons of sugar canes. For me, it was like recreating the sugar cane, like the sugar cane wanting to come back. And then I tied it with this invisible thread. So you can't see, it's tied up, but you can't really see it. And so I just kept making. I didn't know how many I was going to make or anything. I wasn't counting. I was just like making and making. And then what I wanted to actually do was make a wall with it. I was going to make a wall with it, but over the time, like I moved and changed things again, and then I had the opportunity to show it. Lily Bernard, she really liked that piece, and she wanted me to put it in the what's the show, the Baila con Duende, and but I didn't have a lot of space, so this is what I had to do. And then Michelle Papillon, when she opened her gallery in Le Mert, she asked me if I had anything, and said, yes, I have the perfect thing. And I was thinking of this, and it turned out to be like the perfect way to show it. What I did was I actually hung it in the shape of a boat. So this is like it's facing the corner, and so I don't have a picture of it from the top, but it's like maybe here you can see it a little bit, but it's like the bow of the boat, and then it's shaped like that. So, but I also wanted to feel like you're in a sugarcane field, like you're seeing through it in a field, but at the same time it's still like a ship, and it still had that relationship with my drawing on that piece of cloth where the ships were going through the sugarcane field. So that's how I decided how I was going to show it, because it made the most sense to me to able to show it in that way. So that was that piece, and I still have ambitions of showing it in a different way. I still want to make my wall. And then, I'll just show you. This was actually my first piece that I made, and that's not part of that very big piece because this one turned out to be so heavy, and it was very heavy because it was so full of sugar. I cannot pick this piece up myself. After this piece, I learned how to make it a little bit lighter. But this piece is like 9 feet tall, and it's got batting. It's like on both sides, so it's a sculpture actually, and it's got batting in between. So I put 2 pieces of batting that was soaked in sugar. Like I was going overboard with the whole sugar thing, and so then I had all these cotton on this side and on the other side, and so it became crazy heavy. And the people who were putting it up were having a real rough time trying to put it up. But they did it eventually. And so these people who were from Brazil, tobacco farmers were there, and they couldn't tell what it was. And they said, I think, these look like tobacco leaves. Are these tobacco leaves? I said, they could easily be tobacco leaves. Like has a relationship with that too. But no, it's not tobacco leaves, it's all sugar and cotton. So they liked it, but they somehow wanted to put the tobacco in, so which was cool. This is another piece that I made. Also, it's a much like, it's huge. It's very 1.5 of that wall. And also I just wanted to have that much bigger feeling than the other smaller piece that I had made. I wanted to have a bigger feeling of it, to really feel, sometimes, bigger does matter, bigger counts. And in this case, I felt like bigger was important. And so I made this big piece with all the ships. And in the other one, the ships were all going only in one direction. In this one, there were ships going in all kinds of directions, up, down, side, back, forth, in every kind of way, which I felt was probably more real. And then, I was invited to show my work at CAM, and this is the piece I made at CAM, for CAM, and just to show the idea of the size of it. So that was the piece for CAM. So This is, oh, okay, I think I've already showed you guys this. But this was at Liz's loft, and this is the whole piece, so just for an idea. Okay, I think we've seen this one already. So, then, this one is obvious. So then I was invited by Mount St. Mary's to a solo show, and it was a huge space. And at first I was kind of intimidated by it, but I knew what I could do. So by this time, this was early this year, and I had started playing with gourds, and the way I arrived at gourds was also, I was actually thinking of making basketry as containers that you transport across oceans, that every culture uses it from antiquity. And so I was originally interested in like basketry and making baskets with maybe like something with sugarcane or sugarcane paper. But then I hit on the idea, I just like saw this board and I thought like, wow, I think I should investigate this. And what happened was that I found this place in San Diego that actually grows boards and sells them. And artists come and use them for all kinds of things. And so I went and I bought one. I just bought one initially, and that one, that one is in here somewhere. This one here, and I cut it open, and look what it looked like. It just like blew me over.
It looks like your works.
Yeah, and I thought, oh my God, like I have to leave this one alone. I can't even touch it. So I decided I was going to leave it, but then I was just like thinking of all these things that I could do with it. And so I said, oh my God, I just have to go and get more gourds. So then I went and I got more gourds, but I just got like these big ones. And they felt like people to me. And then I found out, I started researching on these gourds, and I found out that these gourds, actually the DNA is from Africa. And I thought, oh my God, can it get more cool than that? And so then, they felt like people to me, and it felt like the uterus, and I thought, wow, I'm female. I mean, I thought, look into this whole thing. And so I decided I should take photographs of the gourds in the garden, sitting around. I put it on the chair. It felt like a person. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. And I got so excited, and I got a whole bunch of other like big gourds, and I took lots of pictures. Of course, I didn't put them in all here. But then I decided, like, instead of making baskets and all that, I'm just going to explore this further. Then I thought, like, okay, I can really play with this, and then I was playing around with it, and then I got smaller ones, and I thought it was they're very hard to cut. So I got those guys to cut them, and I said, just cut them in the middle. And they cut them, and this is how they looked on the inside. And I just thought that I have to leave it like that, because it just says everything. I don't need to like say anything.
Yeah.
So these are the ones that you saw from the one that I set up, that had become a ship. And then later on, I had put on the wall. So now I decided I was going to put it here upright like this. So this is the one with all the cotton and sugar on it, and this one is like a piece of mahogany. And then I decided I was just going to lay it out like this. And so that's how this piece came out. Like, it just kind of made itself in that way. So that was pretty exciting to me. And then I also started experimenting with the bigger chords and playing with the inside. I thought, and it had something to do with femininity. I had just listened to a YouTube video by Audre Lorde, where she's talking about eroticism and pornography and the difference between them. And I always felt like that women, even in this whole slavery issues and labor issues, women are never really given the importance. The women have never been given the importance that they have played in life in general, and that goes down the line into everything, into society and everything. And so I felt like I really wanted to talk about that too. Like, women are the transporters. We carry, we bring babies into the world. Like, you know, we are not we give birth to the universe. Excuse me, guys, but we do. And so I wanted to play around with the inside of it and make the inside of the gourd incredible and untouched in a way by something that was negative at all. And so I had taken pictures of flowers at the garden in La Cañada, I forgot what it's called. But anyway, there were these gorgeous tulips growing, and I had taken lots of pictures. So I decided to make an abstraction of it, and and so this actually is from this flower that I abstracted and changed into other things, and the flower essentially is the most beautiful part of a plant, and it's the reproductive area of the plant. It's the place where the next generation comes from, and so I felt like I was going to put that inside the gourd and make the inside of the gourd where the spirit is. The spirit is inside, and I wanted that to be incredibly beautiful, and in the way that I could do it. And so I started, doing this, and this is like my current project in doing this. So that's the story of that. This is another way that I had arranged this piece, and this piece. So there's a wall over here, and so this and the back is the actual gallery. So the wall here is closed off, so nobody can enter the gallery from here. So they have to enter. It's facing the doorway, so they have to enter here. They have to look at it. They have to go inside, and then they have to turn around and go around behind to go over there to be able to go and see the gourds and the other piece. So it was like I was forcing everybody to go through this. So it was something that I've always wanted to do, and so I did it. Yeah. And then this is a photograph which I felt like I needed to have that kind of photograph to like really peep through things and see what's going on the inside. So that's why I put that picture in there. And this is another piece also, with the ships and going through the field. But this time I changed it and made something different out of it, and did like stuff to it. So this is just like a picture of how I took the flower and I rearranged it in the photograph to make it look very sexy and very beautiful and erotic. And I'm not going to say it's pornographic. It's not. It's erotic. And what else? I think that is the whole story of that show. And then just one last little thing is this image. So lately, this is one of the other things that I've been doing, and it's coming from like introspection and kind of my place in the world and the kind of thing. And I'm very interested also in the spiritual inheritance, or I shouldn't say inheritance, but a spiritual aspect of Indian culture and also of African culture, and because that's where I come from. And so at the moment I am kind of going into that, and I want to bring that into my work. It's also a way for me to bring the color into my work, because my work has been brown, and intentionally so. But I also wanted to bring color, and I've been going dancing a lot. I was a salsa dancer, and now I'm a tango dancer. But I also, those dances have roots in the sugarcane fields. It was just like so exciting for me to do that, and I thought that I should bring those dances come out from those places because it was necessary for those people to have those dances, and as their way to release. And I felt that was where the color came from, because that was the color in their lives, and I wanted to somehow bring the color into my work. And so while this is not related to dance itself, this actually is called a surabhi. She's a cow, but with a female head. And from the Bible they say, "Ask and you shall receive." So she represents the universe, and you ask her and she gives you. She's the one you ask and you receive. So there is all these different relationships. There are just so many that I want to explore. So I just wanted to conclude on this note because I'm at that place right now. So that is it. Thank you.
And then we'll come back.
Oh, you have a question then?
Oh, yeah, we can do questions, and then after that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I have several questions. I know through the years we have always talked and always admired your work. And it's interesting because the more you got in depth, the more I feel how even more related our work is, even though on the surface it's a lot different, but I think the foundation and intention is definitely the same. A couple things that came in my mind was, when I saw the scale of your work and the amount of your work, where is all your work going? Do you have storage?
It's a problem. It's a problem, especially. It's a problem. Like when you make big work, you get limited by the space.
Yes.
So I have to store it in various ways. I have a storage place.
Okay. Another question is, because I know that your origin is Zambia, but you had spent time living in South Africa. What was that experience? Because you mentioned to me that you had actually lived there in time of apartheid.
Yeah. When I was in South Africa, actually my ex-husband is a South African, and here's another little story, by the way, is that he was his grandfather actually was the president of the Transvaal Indian Congress, and the African National Congress has kind of derived its name from like the Indian National Congress, and his grandfather actually marched with Gandhi when Gandhi went to South Africa. So that was like an interesting. And then my ex-husband was also part of the the resistance movement. He's a medical doctor, and so he did that in different ways. When I was there, it was still apartheid. I lived there for 8 years, and all those 8 years it was still apartheid. And like we lived in Indian areas, and there were Indian schools, black areas, black schools, colored areas, colored schools, white areas, white schools. very tiered. You couldn't live in the different areas. There was actually one state that you couldn't even drive. Like you couldn't stay overnight in Orange Free State. If you were driving to Cape Town, you were going to drive through Orange Free State, and you had to get out by dark. You had to get out of there. So that was the story with that. But and you know, my children were all born in South Africa. My son was born in Johannesburg. He was the youngest. He's the youngest, and he was born in a white hospital because it was a private hospital. We couldn't go to the state hospitals. Black doctors could not work in white hospitals. White doctors could work in black hospitals. And then my girls were born in a place called Venetia, where the Indians lived, and there wasn't really a hospital. It was more like a clinic, and my kids were born in a clinic. The reason why we also came to America is because my husband didn't get the job that he was very qualified for, because he had got a fellowship and he wanted to go to the person who wrote the textbook on surgery, which was in Galveston, Texas. And so he got to get there, and when we came to America, after his fellowship thing, he was offered like 6 jobs in America. And then we go back to South Africa, and he was told, like, literally, these are the words, over my dead body. So he did not get that job, and so he felt like my own country is like doing this to me, and there in America I'm being offered like 6 jobs. So then we decided that perhaps we should come. So that's how we came to America, and it was my choice, and I chose LA. That's a little story anyway. Yeah.
I have another question. In your process, arriving at your ideas, do you create sketches of items where it may be, or do you get your materials and gather and let that sort of like speak to you, or you kind of like, how's your process when you come to arrive? Because once you have finished these pieces, they are really like phenomenal in regards to the whole narrative about it. So I was kind of curious about, like, did they have how do you arrive at that point?
I feel like when I start something, it wasn't started as like, oh, I'm going to make this thing very big. It started from a very playful place, an experimental place, and then, like, before I made the very big piece, I had made several other little pieces, and then and I showed you that other really heavy, like 9-foot one. So I felt like, okay, it didn't feel enough to just make the small piece. I felt like, no, this is interesting, but it's not enough. It doesn't say enough. And then I had to make the bigger one, and then I made that bigger one, and I felt like, no, it still doesn't say enough. And I thought, okay, I have to make it bigger. So that's how I arrived at that. But as artists, I think we are always very observant. You have to be an observer. You also have to play and experiment, and sometimes just let something happen, leave something for a little while and let it ruminate. Try different ideas, see how you can mix it up. I think for me that kind of works. And also, like, a lot of my ideas form when I go hiking. I like hiking, and not just any hiking. I have to walk uphill. When I'm walking uphill, that's when I feel good. Yeah.
You mentioned, do you want to speak on that? You mentioned that you're influenced by the body, that somehow the body is important in your work, and how is that? And I'm wondering if that's why you make things large, because as an artist, I too, to make things large so that it's almost larger than my body, so my body can fit. Is that why you're saying it's your body that you're relating to?
Well, I was interested in like things that keep things together. Like, what is it that keeps my body together?
Oh, I see.
What is it that keeps a building together? Like, the building is gorgeous, but what about all those other things that go into the building that keep it together? You know, like in the bridge, what is it that keeps a bridge? So I was very interested in the things that you don't see, but that is the base of something.
I see.
So that's where my work comes from, is to talk about that which does not get talked about, that which does not get seen, but suddenly it has become the thing to be seen.
Right. Love it. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the audience?